You've tried everything, diets, workouts, staying consistent, and yet your body still doesn't change the way it should. So you start thinking maybe it's your discipline, maybe you're just not trying hard enough. But what if that's not true? What if the system you're following is the actual problem? Because right now, there are people losing more fat in a few months than you've lost in years. And they're not working harder than you. They're using something DIA rent. And no, it's not just another fat burner. It's peptides, but not the kind you think, because most people hear peptides and assume it's just another fitness trend, another supplement, another scam. It's not. What's happening right now is something completely different. Science is starting to rewrite how fat loss actually works, and it exposes a harsh truth. Eat less, move more was never the full story. Not even close. There was a massive study that proved this. Nearly 2,000 people. One group did exactly what you've been told your whole life. Diet and exercise. Their result? They lost about 2.4% of their body weight. That's it. And almost no one, less than 5%, was able to lose a serious amount of fat. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Another group in that same study didn't work harder, didn't train more, didn't suar more. They just used one peptide, and their results. Almost 15% body weight was lost. More than half of them hit that level. Same effort, completely different outcome. That's not a small advantage. That's a completely different game. So if one peptide can produce results like that, then why does this entire space feel like a scam? Why do some people swear by it, while others say it's complete garbage? Who's actually telling the truth? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Both sides are right, and that's exactly why people stay confused, because most of what you see online isn't real fat loss medicine. It just looks like it. This is where people get trapped. You go online, you see fat loss peptides, insane claims, crazy transformations, and you assume it's all the same thing. It's not. Most of those compounds, they're not even designed to burn fat. They're growth hormone boosters, recovery aids, muscle support tools. Useful? Maybe, but fat loss? Not their job. It's like trying to build a house with a hammer, when what you actually need is a power drill. You can swing harder, put in more EAKT, waste more time, but you're still using the wrong tool. And when results don't come, you think the whole thing is fake. That's where the peptides don't work crowd comes from. They didn't get scammed by the idea. They got scammed by the wrong category. Now here's where things shift again, because the peptides that actually work don't live on random websites. They're not sold like supplements, and they're definitely not underground secrets. They're real medications, approved, studied, tested on thousands of people. And this is where most people realize they've been looking in the wrong place the entire time. The peptides that actually work, they don't touch growth hormones at all. That's where most people get it completely wrong, because the real ones don't try to force fat loss. They change your behavior at the source, your hunger, your cravings, your appetite. They literally turn down the food noise in your head, that constant voice telling you to eat, snack, cheat. It just goes quiet. And when that happens, fat loss stops feeling like a fight. Now here's where it gets crazy. A 2024 study looked at one of these peptides, semaglutide, sold as Wegovy and Ozempic. In clinical trials over 68 weeks, the average person lost around 15% of their body weight, not 2%, not 5%. That's a level of change that comes primarily from one thing: appetite control. Because semaglutide is a GLP-1 receptor agonist, it doesn't burn fat directly. It works by reducing hunger, slowing gastric emptying, and helping you feel full sooner and longer. That's the difference between trying to lose weight and your biology finally cooperating. So when someone says fat loss peptide, you should pause. Are they talking about random compounds from internet forums? Or are they talking about something clinically proven to regulate hunger at the hormonal level? Because those are not even in the same universe. One drains your money and your motivation. The other is quietly becoming one of the most impactful medical breakthroughs in weight management. Now let me ask you something. What if this was never about discipline? Just a signal your body stopped sending? Because everything you've been told about fat loss, calories, willpower, just eat less, it all quietly ignores one system that's been running the show the entire time. It's called GLP-1, and despite how it sounds, it's incredibly simple. Every time you eat, your gut releases this hormone with one job: you're full. Stop. That's it. That one signal decides whether you keep eating or walk away without thinking twice. Now here's the part that changes everything. For most people, that signal is weak, short-lived, easy to ignore. So you're not fighting food, you're fighting your own biology. Now imagine flipping that. Imagine that signal staying strong, not for minutes, but all day. No constant cravings, no mental battles, no white-knuckling diets. That's exactly what medications like semaglutide do. They don't burn fat. They restore control by amplifying a signal your body already understands. And once that signal is loud enough, everything shifts. Hunger drops. Portions shrink, food loses its grip. Add even a basic diet on top of that, and the results start looking unreal. But here's the twist most people haven't caught yet. This isn't the breakthrough, it's the baseline. Because there's already something beyond this, something that doesn't just amplify that signal. It rewrites the entire system behind it. And once that clicks, you realize this isn't theory anymore. It's something that has already been tested at scale. And the clearest proof of that comes from a landmark clinical trial called Surmount-1. Over 2,500 participants, 72 weeks, one drug, tirzepatide, also known as Zepbound or Mounjaro, and the results were hard to ignore. The group receiving the highest dose lost an average of 22.5% of their total body weight. The group following standard lifestyle changes, diet, exercise, discipline, lost just over 2%. Same effort, completely different outcome, and that's where you start to understand why tirzepatide sits in a different category altogether. Because most weight loss medications work on a single pathway. This one works on two. It is a dual GLP-1 and GIP receptor agonist, which means it reduces hunger while also improving how the body processes and uses energy. So it is no longer just about eating less. It is about your body responding differently to food. And that is not something willpower alone was ever designed to compete with. Think about that difference for a second. This is not a minor improvement. It is the difference between struggling for years and finally seeing real, measurable change. In the same study, more than half of participants lost 20% or more of their body weight. Nearly 1 in 3 lost 25% or more. That is not luck. That is not better discipline. That is biology finally working with you instead of against you. And once you understand that, the next question becomes unavoidable. Because if the body can be guided this way, the obvious question is, what happens next? Where does this actually go from here? That's where things stop being about appetite alone and start shifting into something much deeper. Because researchers didn't just focus on reducing hunger anymore. They started looking at the system underneath it, how the body actually manages energy in the first place. And that's where a new compound enters the picture. It's called retatrutide, still in phase 3 trials, still under study, but already being discussed as one of the biggest steps forward in this entire field. And the reason is simple. It doesn't target one pathway. It doesn't even target 2. It targets 3 systems at once. GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. And that changes everything, because now it's not just about eating less. It's about how the body uses energy at a completely different level. Fat loss doesn't just feel easier anymore. It becomes fundamentally more efficient. And that's the moment it starts to sink in. This isn't just an improvement. It's a completely different direction. Because what changes first isn't your body. It's your brain. It changes how you think about food. Right now, whether you notice it or not, there's a constant background noise. Eat something, check the fridge, grab a snack, even when you're not actually hungry. That's the real battle most people are fighting every single day. And these medications go straight to that source. They don't rely on willpower. They simply turn the volume down on that noise till it fades into the background. And this is where most people misunderstand it completely. They think fat loss is about resisting cravings, fighting urges. Just have more discipline. But what if the real goal was never to fight cravings at all? What if the goal was for them to barely show up in the first place? Because that's exactly what starts happening here. It's not that people suddenly become more disciplined. It's that urge for a second plate. The late-night snack, that constant pull toward food, it just starts to disappear. The fight doesn't get won, it just gets quieter, but that's only one part of it. Because while the brain is calming down, the body is changing too. Digestion slows, food stays in the stomach longer, and that creates one simple shift. You actually feel full, and you stay full, not temporarily, not until the next craving hits, but long enough that food stops being something you constantly think about. And that's where it clicks. The brain isn't pushing you to eat anymore, and the body isn't demanding more fuel the same way. That combination is what's been missing this entire time. That's why portions shrink naturally, not because you're forcing control, but because you simply don't need as much anymore. And then there's another layer most people don't even think about: blood sugar. Normally it spikes, crashes, and drags you right back into hunger again. That cycle is what keeps people stuck. But here that pattern starts to smooth out. Energy becomes stable, and instead of constantly chasing quick fuel, the body starts tapping into stored energy instead. That's not a small tweak. That's a complete shift in how metabolism behaves. And when all of this stacks together, the results stop looking normal. They start looking extreme. Go back to that Wegovy trial. Over half the participants didn't just lose weight. They lost 15% or more of their total body weight. Life-changing numbers. Now compare that to the group doing everything right. Diet, exercise, discipline. Less than 5% reached the same result. Same effort, completely different outcome. And that's when it hits you. This was never just about trying harder. It was about fixing the system you were fighting against. You've been told your whole life, eat less, move more, be disciplined. But now you can see it clearly. The people getting real results aren't fighting harder. They're working with a completely different system. One that controls hunger, stabilizes energy, and actually allows fat loss to happen. That's what these GLP-1 medications are doing. Not hype, not shortcuts, just biology. Finally working the way it should. And in massive clinical trials, that translates into results like 15%, even 20% plus body weight loss. Numbers that used to feel impossible, now becoming reality. And that should make you pause. Because this isn't just a new tool, it's a shift in how fat loss works entirely. But here's the real question. What do you do with that information? Keep playing by the old rules, or finally understand the system you've been stuck in? Because this space is moving fast. New drugs, new data, new results pushing things even further. And if you don't understand what's real, you'll either fall for hype or miss what actually works. So if you want the truth, not trends, not bro science, not recycled advice, subscribe, because what's coming next is going to make this look basic.